Well, good morning. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here in Pennsylvania, Zone 6. It's nice and cool considering we're end of July. Well, anyhow, today I wanted to go harvest some of our Yukon Gold potatoes. And I planted those back in the beginning of April. So anyhow, thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. You know, I'm standing under one of my cattle panel trellises, and I have one of my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. Actually, I have two of them growing up here, but you know, one of the things I love about growing food in your own garden is you can just go out and pick the food right off your plant, you know. And I just love these Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. Well, anyhow, I'm over at my potato patch area where the Yukon potatoes are, and so follow me along and let's go harvest some of these beautiful, tasty potatoes. So right in this area here is where I planted these Yukon Gold potatoes. Back in April, I planted 17 of these certified seed potatoes. And you know, certified means that, you know, they're grown guaranteed to be disease and fungus free, your potatoes. And so I planted 17 of these seed potatoes, and you know, sometimes I'll get anywhere from 1 to 3 pounds of potatoes per seed potato when I harvest each one. And so I grew these in my compost. These are actually composted wood chips. They've been here for 2 to 3 years. And you know, when the vines die back is generally when it's time to harvest. But I do want to harvest all these potatoes out of the ground because I don't want them to rot. You know, we've had a lot of rain here in Pennsylvania, and so what I'm going to do is harvest all these potatoes during this video. So let's just take a closer look at these mounds. Over here on my left, I have a row of Kennebec potatoes growing. They're a longer growing variety, anywhere from 110 to 120 days. And then these Yukon Golds here are about 100 days. You know, that way your harvest staggers. And then over there on the right, I had another row that I did a video earlier where I harvested some of my red Norland potatoes, which were tasty and delicious. But right here, again, you can see where these plants have died back and that they're ready to harvest. So let me grab my garden fork and my basket and we'll start harvesting this row of potatoes. Well, I have my short handheld hoe and my garden fork, my basket, and then of course my knee pad. And it looks like my first Yukon Gold plant was right here. And so let's just start harvesting some of these. There's 3 right there. There's another nice big one. So far I got 5 potatoes from that one plant. Oh, there's another nice one. So there's a few more. Let's just continue down the row. You know, whenever you plant your potatoes, you want to make sure you hill them twice a season too. It's in the hills where the potatoes grow and develop. Seems like my hands work the best. The soil's nice and loose. But we just love these Yukon Gold potatoes, especially since my wife and I are plant-based. You know, we follow a plant-based diet now. It's been about 5 years for me. But we love our potatoes. We love our starch. You know, that's a big lie out there in the industry that potatoes are fattening. You know, they turn the sugar, turn the fat, and make you fat. But it's really the potato toppings you put on, like the bacon bits and sour cream and butter, that make them harmful for you. But you know, think about it. There's cultures and civilizations that have lived off of potatoes. You know, they're full of vitamins and minerals. You know, very healthy for us. And so anyhow, there's a nice big potato right there. These definitely are buried deep in the soil. Kind of reminds me of digging for gold. I guess that's why they call them Yukon Gold. You know, just recently I cooked some of my red Norland potatoes. We have a pressure cooker, and just put about a dozen, 12 of them in there, and cooked them at pressure for about 15 minutes, and they were just so tasty and delicious. A really easy way to grow or cook them. So let's just keep on moving down the row here and see what we find. When you plant your potatoes too, you want to plant them about 10 inches apart and about 3 inches deep. You can get, you know, seed potatoes at some local nurseries or buy them online. I ended up buying these from Ray's Greenhouse. So like, here's a rotten potato here. It's like I said, that's why I want to get these out of the ground, so they don't rot. But anyhow, let's move on down to a few more of these plants. So again, here's somewhere some of these plants have died back. These are the vines right here. So that's the area you want to dig. There's a couple more potatoes. Some seed potatoes definitely produce more than others. There's one hidden. Sometimes too, I'll leave a potato behind in the soil, not digging it out, and it'll grow next year. Another nice potato. Yeah, see, like that seed potato really produced a nice amount. It was 3 pounds of seed potatoes that I bought in the spring. There's another rotten potato. Like I said, that's why I want to get all these out of the ground. And so let's just move on down here again. Do a few more. So let's just continue down the row here. The one reason I'm using my hands is I don't have, that way I won't scratch or scar the potato. There's a couple beauties right there. And you get a lot of little tiny ones sometimes that pop up. A couple more here. A couple nice ones. That seed potato produced about 4 nice sized potatoes. So I have about five more feet of potatoes to dig up here. So anyhow, I finished harvesting this row of potatoes, and so why don't we go up and wash these, and we're going to go weigh this basket and see how many pounds of potatoes we got from these 17 seed potatoes. So anyhow, I'm over here at my garden structure, and let me turn the water on, and let's start washing these potatoes. I like using this open basket here because all the water drains through and all the dirt. And so it really does a nice job. You see how beautiful they look. But anyhow, why don't we go weigh these potatoes. So we're going to head over to the end of my 18-foot by 30-foot raised garden bed there where I have that little table. You know, it's not always easy doing these potato harvest videos because I get dirt all over my hand and then I have to go work the camera and it's different controls, so trying to keep my hands clean and not get the camera too dirty is always a challenge. But anyhow, I have my scale here, and we're going to put these potatoes on the scale here and see what the basket weighs. It didn't seem like it was that great of a harvest, but you know, that's just sometimes the way it is with gardening. Sometimes you get great harvest on one vegetable and not so great on the other. But nevertheless, these are all homegrown organic potatoes. And so let's take a closer look and see what this weighs. I think the basket was about 1 pound. And so let's take a closer look. It looks like I ended up getting a little over, this scale is weighing a little over 10 pounds. So we'll just say 10 pounds of potatoes. So anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me today out here harvesting these Yukon Gold potatoes, and you know, really looking forward to cooking some of these up in our Instapot pressure cooker, or you know, baking these in the oven. There's so many ways to prepare these potatoes. But anyhow, like I mentioned earlier in the video, I ended up buying 3 pounds of these, and they were 60 cents a pound. So that's $1.80 it cost me for these seed potatoes, and I produced about 10 pounds of potatoes. You know, again, not a huge harvest of potatoes, but anyhow, it was fun growing them and really looking forward to eating these. So anyhow, if you have any questions or comments about this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. And there you can learn more about gardening and also how you can reclaim your health by adopting a whole food, plant-based, vegan lifestyle. Well, anyhow, I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.